Hey y'all, welcome to SLOP. Uh, I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin, and I'm here tonight with Jay.
Hello, comrades.
And yeah, we're gonna talk little 50-51 and uh, the Israel-Iran stuff a little bit. Try to hit some article headlines, and then maybe finish with a couple of little fun things. But yeah, we're the second most unprofessional podcast in the land,
I don't know. I think we might be giving ourselves a run for our money.
right? And the second socialist podcast in Alabama. So yeah, welcome. It's good to see everybody. Have everybody. Thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment, talk that shit. Help us out with the algorithm. And yeah, let's start. So I was actually literally just in a meeting about the 50-51 protests throughout the state in Alabama. And I think we were a little undercounted with our numbers because up, up around Huntsville, it was at 4,000. I was hearing 5,000 in Birmingham, I think. So that was 9 G's right there. And I think I saw a headline that says something like 15K. And throughout the nation, uh, there looked to be, we hit that 3.5% mark that everybody always talks about. So it looks like we mobilized 3.5% of the nation's population, which leads to the question that we've mobilized, folks. Jay, what's next?
Yeah, that's my question too, right? I hate to rain on anybody's parade, but they're saying this is the largest mobilization in American history. That it's bigger than even the Iraq War protests that we had when I was in college. And I don't know if you remember this, but they had the Iraq War right on schedule, like we weren't even there. So I think
Yeah,
it's worth
I
asking.
got to be part of the invasion. Uh, and yeah, it we received there was no bumps in the road on the way. But I tell you this, there there weren't many of us happy to be there. Uh, yeah,
So
but
yeah, I
what
guess I'm just asking, like, what?
I talk about building mutual aid, uh, building unions and co-ops, direct action, and electoralism. And there's dim party county dim parties in the state of Alabama that are also organizing protests now, which I found interesting.
What were some of the main ideas that came out of the meeting you were at that you were talking about?
So it was really just a debrief today. We talked about what happened, security stuff, who showed up. It sounded like it got pretty. There were quite a bit of few more counter protesters down that Anniston, Oxford, Jacksonville area, and it sounded like they handled them very well. They at one point surrounded them and turned their backs on them, and you know, gave a chant about "Don't give them violence," and one of them like came all with a crown and stuff like that. And they put him in the costume contest that they had. He did not win. He was dressed up as King Trump, right? But he was protesting for Trump, right? But so as far as what came out of that meeting, uh, it was a debrief, and there's already plans for next month. I think July 4th and a couple other days in there, like for mutual aid, uh, that are being tentatively planned for next month. But the next steps, really, because uh, all the 5051 movement, even though there's like a national group like manages things a little bit, it's really up to us here to make the decision for ourselves.
So what is the plan? Just to have another protest, like have a bunch of people come and stand and hold up signs and then go home?
Well, no, the mutual aid is like one of the things to do next month. Like, so not just protest. Like, I think the mutual aid thing is, I can't remember which day is being planned for, but that's a concept that I would say has not penetrated the masses across the nation yet, right? And you know, mutual aid is something that needs to be stood up and built up in your area and across your state to facilitate bigger things like a general strike, right? Which, like the UAW folks, they have their contracts aligned for May 1st, 2028, uh, to for all their contracts to end. So it looks like, that's when they're planning a big strike, it looks like. But, the last general strike in the United States was 1948. And in order to get all the things the working class deserves, like it's not just, you know, getting people elected uh to that's not going to flip every like if the Democrats took the House and the Senate in the upcoming midterms, that that's not right. That's not going to get us to working class solutions, working class policies, right? At best, it's going to serve as a bulwark against any further erosion of things. But hell, you had 75 Democrats vote to commend ICE the other day, you know, for their current behavior and actions. So, what are your thoughts on what should be or could be next?
Well, I think that those are all good so far as they go. And I'd like to see mutual aid stood up a little bit more. But 2028, the midterms in 2026, I mean, that's months or years away. And we have people who are being kidnapped from the streets now. I think I think we're gonna have to step up more direct action. Like protest has to be disruptive in order to be effective. So there has to be something that's being disruptive. Like there has to be a threat behind what you're doing. Like we're going to escalate this into something that is going to hurt the economy, that's going to hurt a particular company or something like that. And
Yeah, yeah, go on, go on. Sorry.
I'm worried that mobilizing so many people, and if they keep being mobilized and seeing nothing come out of what they're doing, it's going to burn them out and they're going to stop participating. And that's my concern with having these big protests every month. Or there was a time a few weeks ago when here in North Alabama, Indivisible and 5051 had like a protest every day of the week, and I was just like, "What? You're going to burn people out doing this, and they're not going to have anything to show for it." So I wonder if it's not time to sort of step up our like civil disobedience. Like the key part of civil disobedience is the disobedience. Like there has to be rule breaking involved in what you're doing, or else it's ineffective. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Uh, yeah, as a matter of fact, like it was brought up during the protest by somebody at the recent one, and they were talking about we are beyond doing these half measures. We need to step it up and figure that out. But things like that have to be planned and supported with mutual aid, right? Supported and planned very well for safety reasons, for minimizing things, right? But, you know, my opinion, I think those things are naturally happening now. There's uh, Ice Watch out there. There's You look at all the stuff that's happening in LA. There's, I saw in Omaha uh, a group of folks like run off ice from a job site, you know? So I think those things are happening. They don't, as far as like, are they coordinated across the nation, et cetera, et cetera? Like, that's not happening yet. But there's a lot of new people still, and there's clearly more new people than the last protest. And, you know, volume of people like showing up like emboldens other people to do things, right? Like, you know, there's over 4,000 people in Huntsville that day. How many people do you think weren't there that wanted to be there, right? That were working or whatever. Like, how many people got connected with each other? How many people joined an organization? Because, like, my opinion is like all the things that the administration is doing right now. If you look at the polls and stuff, none of them, not even the immigration shit, is favored. And it was favored before the election, and fucking even the Dems ran on that shit, and Biden fucking did that shit, and so did Obama before that. But like now, those policies aren't popular at all. And how do you get to that next level? Well, you got to plan, right? You got to talk to people. You got to be mindful of things that are happening.
I'm certainly not asking anybody to martyr themselves or get arrested. I
Right.
don't think there's any point in getting deliberately arrested. Sometimes you'll see protesters do this as a tactic where they'll put themselves in a situation where they're deliberately getting arrested, and I think that just gives you a record and it doesn't accomplish anything. It made sense once upon a time, 100 years ago, when the IWW used it to fill a local prison in, I think it was Portland. So they were able to fill up the prison, and make it to where they were unable to enforce a particular rule against homeless people, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
But when Martin Luther King tried the same tactic to fill up the jails in 1960s, Birmingham made their jails bottomless by sending people to jails in surrounding counties.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
like the empire always gets to strike back. And I don't think there's any value in martyrdom, but I think that the moment calls for a lot of bravery and getting outside of your comfort zone and being in solidarity with people who are doing things that maybe you personally wouldn't do, or maybe even that you might disagree with. And I'm thinking of like property destruction and other forms of civil disobedience.
Yeah, and see there then there's that like that happens, right? Because like the just those Waymos out there in LA that are taking taxi drivers' jobs, right? They The media then focused in on that. Or I've heard that like, they're sitting around at the protests in LA, and they got their cameras off while everybody's chilling, and then something pops off, and then they turn their cameras on, or they sit there and like when the cops start shooting big ass, 40 millimeter rubber bullets and tear gas and stuff, uh, they turn the cameras off. Or when somebody's handed gas masks, uh, they turn the cameras on and then they get charged, right, for instigation or what the hell. Did you see that out there? Where there's a guy, like one of the first days, he rolled up with a whole bunch of protective masks.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
pretty sure
He got arrested.
yeah, he got arrested, right? So like,
For handing out masks.
so like, and one of the things, from what I understand, is like during the civil rights movement, like it was not popular, like especially compared to like what's going on now. Like the protests and stuff that are going on now have a whole lot more popularity than the civil rights movement did back then. But
Right.
Like MLK and use was, nonviolence and showing the mistreatment that they were receiving, and which horrified people, you know. And I think with all the cameras that people have right now, all this ICE stuff is getting documented. I mean, like today I read about, so I think last week, one of the Waltons, heir to the Walmart fortune, put an ad in the New York Times to support the No Kings protest. What did I read today? ICE arrests U.S. citizen working at Walmart. You know, so I think these things are going to organically happen, right? It's just happen. Who knows, right? But as they raise the temperature, like people come back, you know.
Yeah. I've been in the protest game for a while. Like my first protests were against the Iraq War.
Right.
And it's frustrating because like, yeah, you make good contacts and I don't mean to rain on anybody's parade. And like certainly it was worthwhile to spoil Donald Trump's special day. Like he thought he was gonna have a big birthday bash with all the tanks and all the other little toys. And instead he got drowned out by millions of people protesting on all over the country, and his own parade was, by all accounts, weak and low energy.
Oh, I was reading accounts by from source members and stuff, and they didn't want to be there. They didn't like it. They didn't practice for it. Like, and like, if you watch some of the video, there's like they're out of step and shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like they know how to march. Like you might not do it every day, but you still know how to march and stuff. And like they were shit bagging it, and it made me a little proud. Not gonna lie, but you know, not the soldiers didn't want to be there. That's for damn sure. And I think their attendance, they were trying to get 250,000 there. That was their max capacity, and I think they ended up with 25,000, if that.
wow,
Uh, yeah, I
10%.
saw. Yeah, yeah, and part of the and I saw people that went there, army, and not Donald Trump. Like I saw a couple of interviews. Like I'm not here because of Trump. I'm here because of the army. And yeah, so even some of the people that were there weren't even there for him. Who knows how many? Looking at the statistics, it would look to be about only 30% of the crowd was probably there for him. If you look at like voter, or like how many people voted for him and how popular his polls are and shit like that. Like, so, most of the people there were probably there for the army and not even his ass. And he looked miserable.
Oh yeah,
Oh
he did
man.
not look happy. Apparently, so I saw a report that he chewed out Pete Hegseth behind the scenes over what a crap show it was. So
Yeah,
that reportedly happened, which is
yeah.
hilarious.
Like, yeah, I heard he got a little hot mic action, and it was like I wanted to be like Kim Jong Un, like everybody should be like snapping at it and all that. I don't know if
Right.
you heard that, but
I
yeah.
missed that.
Oh, there's a video by North Korean media that I
I
can't
saw
remember
that.
all the. Okay, man. Oh my
It
God,
says
that shit had me rolling.
so. It was a North Korean news presenter. It was a woman, and she was talking about like, and here is the sad elderly leader sitting next to, and they called it was he was sitting next between Melania and Pete Hegseth, and they called Melania an expensive prostitute, and Pete Hegseth a drunken television host.
Yes, yeah.
But if you
Said
look up,
that was that it was only entertaining to those dull of the mind. Like, uh, yeah, it was great. He was worn out by the. He didn't even want to be there by the time the fireworks went off. But yeah, the so all in all, I think the parade was a big dub. You know, it was a W. At least at least from watching the clips and not having to be there. You know.
but I just yeah. So yeah, it was absolutely worthwhile to ruin his special day and to have bigger turnouts at our protest than he had at his attempt at having a North Korean parade here in America. Maybe he won't do that again.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
What maybe I think the Navy's birthday is next year, their 250th. So I don't know. Maybe he gets on a yacht and it fucking sinks.
maybe the orcas will sink it.
See what I mean? That's the type of thinking we need. That's the type of like what you got to build up in your heart right there. But yeah.
So I mean, I'm aware that this is like a public forum and there are limits to what I can say, but I just think this moment is it requires us to be creative. It requires us to be brave. It requires us to do things that we ordinarily might not do if we're going to save our neighbors from being kidnapped off the streets by masked goons. And
Right.
I don't think waiting for the next election is the right option.
No, I'd say waiting for any election is never correct. Like even like let's let's say like everybody in the midterms that gets voted into office is a socialist. Well, it doesn't end there. They have to be held accountable. You know,
Right.
like it's not fucking magic. You know, and with the
Absolutely.
way, yeah, like and with the way the world works, like some percentage of those fuckers will voted into office could be sus. You know what I'm saying? Like they might say all the good stuff and then like not do any of the good stuff or get paid
Yeah.
off or what have you.
And Washington, I think, brings out the worst in people. And there will be tremendous pressure for them to compromise and tremendous pressure for them to defer to the centrists and to vote for the centrists and leave them in charge of the party. So yeah, like even winning socialist majorities in the House and Senate would not be sufficient. we would have to make sure we held their feet to the fire so that they delivered what they said they were going to deliver, just like you were saying. But there's every reason to think that Dems will take the House and Senate back in the midterms because that's usually the way it goes. Not always, but usually. So, and like,
Weird rebound effect.
yeah, it's very strange. Like the voting is very strange in this country. Oh, there's Robert.
Robert, good to see you.
Our unprofessional
We are
podcast
just
a little bit more professional.
we're just wrapping up a little bit about the protest. Were you able to take part in anything uh this past week, or and also you're close to officially announcing, aren't you?
So I was not able to make it due to the fact that around that same time, someone had an emergency that I needed to go help with. One of the things about if one of the things about community members finally trusting you, because it takes a while to earn their trust, is they then ask you for help. So there's a lot of times that something pops up and I just can't do it, which sucks. But
Hey,
yeah, I will say
you just performed mutual aid, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will say, going back to actions you can take in between elections, mutual aid is one of them. I'm pretty sure you know somebody in your family that may be a car mechanic, that may be a good event planner. Um, there are plenty of people who need help with their cars just because our transportation is so god awful. Even if you don't do it for free, do it for a reduced price, everyone still wins. I officially am announcing sometime in the next 2 weeks. I just got paperwork issues that's holding me up, and I don't want to officially announce. That's like 30% of all the attention your campaign gets without like being able to actually give them something to go look at or to get involved with.
Now, remind us what you're running for again.
I'm running for House District 28.
And that
Mac
is
Butler's district.
for the Alabama House, right?
Yes.
Yes. You know, I feel like we're on a 10-year timeline to get to really start getting to where we want for the working class, you know. But like, you know, something that buoys me right now is Mr. Zorab running for mayor in New York City. He's got some canvassing coming up. But yeah, he's from the DSA, and he's hot on the heels of that Cuomo bastard.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks good. He's definitely closing the distance quickly.
Well, and I think like from a historical perspective, I think it's pretty exciting. Like, there's isn't Brianna Wu the mayor of New York or mayor of Boston? Isn't she a socialist? And I swear there was a candidate for mayor out in Chicago that almost won. You know, but like,
I mean, the mayor of Chicago is pretty left leaning in general, more left leaning than the former mayor that he replaced.
Was that Emmanuel that he replaced?
No, I'm trying to remember her name. I think it was Mayor Lightfoot.
Yeah, Lori Lightfoot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, her replacement was like 3 or 4 degrees more left leaning. But I also think that's one of those issues people have in general is they want to go and say, I want to run for president of the United States and have no infrastructure underneath them. They have no union help. They have no experience to their name when it comes to organizing. It's a lot more easily achievable to run for your local community districts, your local city council, your local parishes, your local mayor even, than it is to try to jump up to congressional or presidential or Senate. Because a lot of those people that are in those positions, they also went through that same cacophony. The only one president that has not had like decades of name ID and experience is like, I think literally Obama, but Obama was one of those once in a generation special cases. And even then, he still was a household name within 4 years of him running. So,
yeah, I mean, from what I remember, he started as a community organizer in Chicago, and then pretty much jumped straight to the Senate. And he was also a lawyer, right? And taught law.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was because there's a series. There's a Chicago mini series. I think it's called Becoming, and they do Becoming Obama and Becoming Oprah, and they go through both of their highlights of their careers. If I remember correctly, it was like 1996 he had his first elected position, but even then, before that, he was an organizer for 3 or 4 years. 1996, but even by 97, 98, people were already starting to put things in the works to try to get him to eventually run for president. Same thing with our current president. I mean, the Republican Party was looking towards grooming Donald Trump, among other people, starting in, I think it was 82.
Right. Yeah.
They just couldn't convince him. Yeah, they just couldn't convince him to actually run until like 30 years later.
40, really. What, 20. I think he tried to run for president one time before 2012. I mean, 2016. Jesus. I think he was a candidate one time before that.
Right.
Don't quote me on that.
But in a lot of cases, you need a higher name ID. You need experience. Sometimes you just need the ability to know what you're doing and how to do it. Also, authenticity. People can tell sometimes if you have a shaky voice over your personal background, your personal feelings on certain situations and issues. If they can't hear it in your voice that you're serious, it's very unlikely that they will feel serious about the subject as well. So when you hear me say, I, as a working class member, know what it means to work paycheck to paycheck because I'm still there. And because of that, I want that system to change. And to do that, I'm going to the state house to start working for the people as one of only 2 or 3 working class members who's not automatically a businessman, a lawyer, or some baby boy's politician. You can hear that because I mean it.
Yeah. I truly believe in you, Robert. I think you are going to find success. Maybe it's not this election, but ultimately you're going to find success for the working class. Your dedication over the years already has shown such grit and determination, right? So you'll get there. You'll get there.
Right. I only bring that up as specifically like there's more to do in your general community because I didn't start running for office all of a sudden. I started specifically working a free store and then became very aware that there were laws in place that make it difficult to give resources to human beings. I saw that there were laws in place where it made it difficult for people to be able to get out of homelessness, as I saw literal homeless people that I have been in contact with decay in front of my eyes because they were not able to get health care. Like, there's a lot that can be done.
Well, we were trying to get to some other stuff today. We talked about the protests. We're going to try to talk a little bit about Iran and Israel. Before we do that real quick. I did want to, we're talking about the protests and whatnot. You know, the kids are all right. A little hard to read, but uh, it's not coming up. But that says, kids in Malaysia protest for free Palestine on Roblox. There were protests against ICE on Roblox uh, this past week as well. So, 70% of Gen Z and what's the next one up from that? Anyway, something like 70% of young folks like the word socialism. So we're experiencing a sea change in the country. It's just, things take years, and, you got to be patient, got to be gritty. And yeah, so with that, a little update on Iran, Israel, and what's going on out there. It's a shit show. Big surprise. We got they've been exchanging barrages of missiles the past almost week now. It appears that Israel is running out of defensive missiles and defensive capabilities, and the support from U.S. covering their skies is also dwindling because, uh, as they say, amateurs talk tactics, but professionals talk logistics. So there's reports that about a third of Iran's missile capabilities have been diminished. Well, that still leaves 66%. And there's talks of stockpiles in 5,000 plus of missiles. So, the big thing is also like over 60% of Americans do not want to have shit to do with invading Iran. And, we got, I heard a quote from Trump, I may do something, I may not do something. Who knows what I'm going to do, is basically what he said. But yeah, Robert, you have any thoughts on what's going on out there?
Not much. Honestly, it's just relatively the same. America wants a proxy in the Middle East. That way, if anything is of value there, they're able to quickly get military over there.
Yeah. I mean, this is a thing that Netanyahu has been chomping at the bit for damn near 40 years. I mean,
yeah. The problem with proxies is they can pull you into conflicts that you were essentially asking them to do for you. That's how World War I started. Two proxies got into a fight, their allies get into that fight, and then it becomes a world war. That's about it, honestly. Yeah, Israel's in the wrong due to the fact that they've started this last set of strikes. They also have assassinated multiple leadership individuals that would normally be a declaration of war if it literally wasn't for America. And before anyone starts the whole Iraq, Afghanistan, weapons of mass destruction, what was that other one? The absence of evidence does not mean there's an evidence of absence or something like that.
The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Right. Before that starts, the leader of... Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was going to say that, they've been is weeks away from having a nuclear bomb since early 90s,
The earliest that's recorded that the current leader of the government, Bibi Netanyahu, has said it is 1995. So they've been weeks away from nukes since 1995. Mind you, it's very hard for me to... I'm against nuclear proliferation due to the fact that it just takes one person lighting something up and then it becomes a problem. Also, literally, the Earth's ecosystem can only take, if I remember correctly, maybe 5 more nukes before it starts to become a filtration problem, and then we look at a potential second frozen age, just because it would cloud up the air so much. Also, those areas would be unusable for Jesus, who knows how long. And
Yeah,
because they keep on.
I was gonna say there's like a 200-mile area in Kazakhstan that where USSR tested bombs out there that is completely just irradiated, you know?
Yeah. So I'm against it. But in this day and age, the only time people will not mess with you is if you have a nuke.
Yeah.
And what happens if you actually build a nuke and then you get rid of a nuke? We can ask Libya and Ukraine what happens, because in Ukraine, America made a deal saying that you will get rid of all your nukes, because they had, like, when it was USSR, they had 30% of all the nukes, which is like over 100 nukes, which would have made them when they became their own country, would have made them the third or fourth biggest nuclear power. America reneged on that, and Ukraine is a mess right now. I mean, devastation going through that entire country. It's going to take at least 40, 50 years to rebuild everything. And Libya, where they also were convinced, the leader there was convinced to denuclearize, and that ended with him being shish kebabbed on the end of a bayonet. Also around that time was when North Korea got real serious about making their own nukes. Because, again, if you're a world leader and you see vivid images of another world leader who gave up his nukes, being, again, shish kebabbed, you go, oh, yeah, I'm getting a nuke. And even then, most of the Middle East still does not have, they're like, we could have the capability done in 2 years. Most of us could do that. But if we actually start moving towards that, America will probably erase us off the map, Iraq style, or just try to invade us and keep us there like Afghanistan. So we don't. That's the reason why in the Middle East, there's only about 90 to 100 nuclear missiles, and all 100 are owned only by Israel.
Well, the U.S. does have nuclear capabilities in Turkey still, which they've had since the 60s, I think. But yeah, and Israel, their stated objective is regime change, which is a little ironic because, like, during World War II, Iran was one of the few countries that took Jewish people in from the Holocaust. Palestine was also a place where they took Jewish folks in from the Holocaust. But Jay, what's your assessment on what's going on out there?
So I consume a lot. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also not the smartest idea, because last time we did a regime change is how we got the current Iran. Actually, in general, when people complain about the destabilization of the Middle East, you're like, okay, let's go back. How many of them get to have democratically elected presidents for more than 10 years without getting assassinated? None of them. So yeah, if I come into your house, shoot your daddy, slap you in the face, you may have problems with me later on.
Yeah. There's been the Shah was overthrown back in like 48, 53, something like that, and there's democratic elections, and then that wasn't good enough. Overthrew that government, put the Shah back in, and then the extremists from the NIR then took over, which you would have thought the U.S. would have liked that because of how much we like extremists and dictatorships and shit in other countries and whatnot. But yeah,
only if they
Jay,
give us
what
their
were you about to say? Yeah,
I was going to say
exactly.
only if they give us oil, because at the end of the day, America is a capitalist country. A capitalist country is going to try to make as much money as possible and stop those from making it more money. The best way to make money for America in that region was oil. So the best way for them to do that is to destabilize and invade.
Oh, the prime minister. So they elected a prime minister named Mohammed Mossadegh, and he was going to nationalize the oil fields and say, "Hey, this oil belongs to Iran. It should be used for the Iranian people." A completely reasonable point of view, and the CIA overthrew him and replaced him with the brutal Shah, who shot students dead in the streets for refusing to wear Western dress, among other horrible crimes. And yeah, so for some reason they didn't like the Shah and overthrew him and replaced it with the current regime. But so I consume a lot of right wing talk radio, right wing media. I watch a lot of Fox News. I do it because I hate myself, and it's amazing.
Well, we love you.
And it's amazing to me how similar the run up to this has been to the run up to the war in Iraq. I've heard like the usual suspects saying things like, "You're either with us or you're with the Iranians. You're either with the president or you're with the Iranian terrorists." You know, they're moments away from having a nuclear bomb. You know, the smoking gun in the form of the mushroom cloud, like the same arguments we heard for the run up to the war and during the run up to the war for Iraq are being made now. And it's just amazing to me how our pundits have learned nothing from the debacle of Iraq.
Because they're bought and sold. But yeah, like it's because they're bought and sold already. Like the mainstream media is in corporate pocket. But like Cheney came into the vice presidency for Bush with a plan to take out Iran already, and yeah, this is right, like almost beat for beat between 9/11 and October 7th, and it's an inside job. There's reports that Israel knew about October 7th and let it happen anyway, which there's similar stories about 9/11 that they just kind of let it happen. But yeah, this is just a continuation of the force that the neocons wanted to start back when Bush took the presidency.
Yeah, during the run up to the Iraq War, there's a quote attributed to Dick Cheney that goes, "Everybody wants to go to Baghdad. Real men want to go to Tehran."
Oh, what?
Yeah,
that fucking shitbag. I don't know. How about live and let live? Whatever the fuck happened to that?
Less profits.
There you go. Nail on the head. But
I will say,
yeah.
I will say I'm not a proponent of the conspiracy theory specifically around, they let it happen with 9/11. I will say, though, two things can be true at once. There can be a big blunder that no one wants to take responsibility for, and an action can happen. Because one of the things that led up to 9/11 was the fact that a part of the reason why they were even able to get into the airspace was there was internal jockeying of who's the bigger, more important government agency between the CIA and the FBI. So there's intelligence CIA had well in advance that FBI really probably should have needed, because they're supposed to be the state side of things. Now, yeah, it's really dumb, but like those decisions of callousness and pride can lead to thousands of people dying. It happens sadly all the time.
Yeah, and there's all, and I don't mean to make light of the death of American soldiers, but there's all this focus on like, oh, we lost 4,000 soldiers in the war in Iraq, but something like 1 million civilians were killed and or displaced,
at least.
Yeah. And it bothers me that their lives aren't considered. That their lives aren't considered by American punditry.
Yeah.
In part because they're not considered by American citizens. You got to understand, most American citizens live paycheck to paycheck, so they're still worried about their kids not getting shot over crime-infested areas due to lack of funding and desperation. They physically don't have enough energy in some cases. And
Yeah,
the only way to, sorry, you were saying?
and we're at, I was gonna say, and we're at 70% of folks living paycheck to paycheck now. Yeah, it's an excellent point.
But I will
It's not
say,
a,
so unlike the punditry, the American people seem to have learned the lesson, and support for even bombing Iran without putting boots on the ground is pretty low among Americans. So the numbers I saw,
Look right here. We got 16% back U.S. involvement and 60% against U.S. involvement. What numbers did you see?
similar. Well, so a 20-point margin, 45% to 25%, with the sizable 30% saying they're unsure. And that's according to a poll from the Washington Post.
Yeah, this is from Chicago Council on Global Affairs survey in April. Found that 8 in 10 Americans favored diplomatic steps or tightening economic sanctions to limit Iran's further nuclear enrichment. You know, but they don't. And as we were saying that the goal is regime change. How about the exiled prince calling for an uprising? Iran's exiled crown prince calls on citizens to rise up and reclaim the country from hiding rats. Supreme leader Khamenei and vows to restore democracy as Israel pounds Tehran. So yeah,
You're not going to get your throne back, buddy. I hate to break it to you. It's not going to happen for you. It's going to be like Juan Guaido. It's like all those people in Miami who were crying because Castro took their sugar plantations away. Like, it's not, Grandpa's sugar plantation is not coming back.
but the idea of it, the dream of it, can make them really good in messaging. Also, when we talk about specifically things you can do between now and the next election, this is one of those things. You should be going and talking to people in your community and saying, hey, we should not be doing that, because there's a whole bunch of undecided people. The problem is, the moment that American boots get on that ground and American troops start dying and they start rolling out in memory of so-and-so who died, it will activate the unifying line of patriotism, at least momentarily. So to make sure that does not even start to form, you got to start talking about, hey, does this actually help America? How does this actually help America? And by America, I mean Americans. Because it's not, we don't get anything out of this as Americans. This does not help increase our minimum wage. This does not help deal with water purification. This does not help get rid of carcinogens in the additives that we put into food.
For real. And like, also, like, I don't think Trump has the patience for what it actually involves, what's involved to actually have a real war, quote unquote, because it would take over a year just to build up any type of real force in that area. I know we got troops there and stuff, but nothing of significance to invade a country the size and population of Iran, So
right.
I don't see him really. I see him doing his art of the deal, and you actually see some of that coming out, even though he did, like Tulsi Gabbard said to Congress, Iran a couple months ago, said to Congress that Iran's not in a position to make and they don't want to make a nuke. She said this to Congress, and she told Trump this too, and he says he's going to fire her and her whole staff. So
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't think. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't think Trump has the stomach for it or the patience for it or none of it,
That's my read on Trump as well. I think it's even money that he'll participate in bombing and he may even drop the bunker buster on Fardo, but that's like flip a coin, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think he has. I don't think he has the desire to get involved in a regime change type of war with boots on the ground. I don't think that he's going to. As of now, I think American involvement would be limited to bombings,
Yeah.
which is bad
Yeah,
enough.
And those polls matter to him, you know, funnily enough. So we are getting tight on time. Because this is supposed to be the fast one, right, Jay? We're supposed to be quick on this.
Well,
So,
we can do whatever
I was
we
going
want.
to hit a few headlines. That is true. We can do whatever we want. So, how about we hit a few headlines? You know, go through these, share your thoughts real quick. This one, VA hospitals remove politics and marital status from guidelines protecting patients from discrimination. And you know, this is happening at the VA now. You know, you're a single mother or you're a Democrat, you that a doctor can refuse to treat you. And this is actually they did this as far as I can remember. They did this for civilians as well a couple months ago. So that's something that's going down. You know, all us suckers and losers getting shit on even more. Relatedly, RFK, he fired the 17-person staff, uh, of the vaccine council, and now he's got a new council that he's trying to get in uh, to, to vote on flu shots containing mercury. Yeah, and y'all chime in whenever, you know, as we're going. So, have y'all heard of the National Center for Public Policy Research?
No.
So these fools, they are exercising, what is it called? Shareholder, uh, shareholder resolutions and whatnot to back to roll back, you know, discriminatory, DEI, roll back DEI stuff, bring in discrimination, and all that good stuff. They've been, you know, at it for a long time, but that's another thing that's going down behind the scenes. You see, R.G. Cravens, a senior research analyst at Southern Poverty Law Center, says the anti-DI movement is part of a bigger campaign to maintain the status quo of corporate America. A lot of the rhetoric the hard right uses to describe DEI is based on racist and white supremacist narratives about people of color. For example, saying that DEI means unqualified people get jobs. They mean people of color who aren't qualified to hold positions. DEI policies are designed to interrupt systemic inequalities, and they do a lot beyond just what the hard right tends to caricature them as doing. You know, and something I learned a little bit ago was that IBM actually pioneered what is called DEI today, back in the 60s, like a point to uh, empower and hire black folks. I think they started in like Ohio. I could be wrong on that, but pretty funny. IBM, you know, Captain Woke.
Wow.
You know, whoops. I know y'all saw this. Trump's 499 gold smartphone is probably being made in China, according to experts. Y'all see this get rolled out?
I saw a little bit about it. Yeah. My question is it going to add me to the war plans chat if I buy one?
Probably, like, just automatically you get the whole contact list, right? You sign up, you get the whole contact list. But yeah, his son rolled this out, and there's talk that his phone will get special no tariffs on it as it's built and imported, so he can undercut everybody else, which is pretty on point. I tell you what, he's good. He's real good at figuring out shit to put his name on and sell, from shoes to guitars. Man, don't even play guitar, to Bibles and what have you. And he's made millions on all this stuff. And in an email to the Wall Street Journal, a spokesman for the Trump organization, manufacturing for the new phone will be in Alabama, California, and Florida. Hey, who wants to get a job there and unionize this place? Yeah.
I don't know, man. Those iPhone factories in China had suicide nets outside the windows to keep people from jumping rather than work another minute. Sounds like it would be bad work. But yeah, wouldn't that be great to unionize?
I saw this one relatedly to the corporate stuff going on there. It's Pride Month, y'all. Happy Pride. And yeah, all the rollbacks, there's the Target boycott and everything is happening. These companies being silent. Yeah. This retreat from corporate Pride Month initiatives is measurable. An analysis by Dongo.tech tracked companies that displayed Pride-themed rainbow logos on LinkedIn. Of 344 companies that used rainbow logos in 2023, 61% did so again in 2024, and only 46 of those continued the practice in 2025. So it's going only about 30% of that original 344 that were tracked now have pride flags on their corporate logos. But fuck corporations. All right, they're not our friends, but it is indicative of other things. You know what I mean? We got some examples right here. Did y'all see that one of the candidates for New York mayor and his cop bodyguard got arrested?
I saw that.
Landers.
Landers, yeah, or Lander. Is it Lander or Landers?
I think it's Lander. I think it's like Moon Lander. Oh, boom. I gave him a nickname, Brad Moon Lander. I'm sure you'd heard that one before. But yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. He got arrested and then released, and then the charges were dropped. Thankfully.
I didn't see that they dropped the charges on him.
That's my understanding is what happened.
Yeah. And of course, there was Alex Padilla out in California, the senator out there. He got arrested by trying to ask Kristi Noem a question. And hey, shout out Kristi Noem. Her and RFK visited a biohazard research facility, and apparently she's hospitalized with her face swollen beyond recognition. So, yeah.
Here's wishing her the worst. I saw some people on Blue Sky who were saying things like, "Y'all don't joke about Kristi Noem's condition, and we shouldn't be saying mean things. And I just, man,
fuck that bitch.
I wish I could be that enlightened.
Yeah. I ain't Jesus, y'all. And I, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me either.
Jesus could love her. I ain't got time. And speaking of ICE, this is from the comptroller, Kenneth Mejia. Update: the city of LA has spent 19.7 million so far in response to the June protests against ICE. So, talking about direct action and stuff, you can bankrupt a city, it appears. And yeah, this key statement right here, because there's going to be millions in lawsuits, millions. But these do not include potential lawsuits or liability claims, because there's people getting like racked in the head with rounds and the white meat showing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One weirdly positive thing that I saw is that the Bureau of Prison retracts rule truly expands halfway houses. And this is apparently, and I love this this guy right here, Walter Pablo, consultant on white collar crime and former convicted felon and a contributor. So look, you can move on and work for Forbes after getting arrested for white collar crimes. But he goes on, there's a law that, is it a law or a policy that Trump put into place in 2018 to get people out of prison and into halfway homes, own homes. And it's part of two different sets of regulations, the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act. And this is allowing for these things to be stacked together, and also to like um, to like build out infrastructure. It sounds like the market is going to respond to this, is what they're thinking, where there'll be more halfway houses that can be for profit or nonprofit to be built. But yeah, but it sounds like they're just opening up more space for more people to go to jail, and then they're still having the folks that get really getting out, they're still having, except the ones that might get to go home, but they still have to like pay for the for-profit spacing and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Or the nonprofit spaces, like that still has to be funded. But kind of a weird thing, but 70% of folks in prison are awaiting trial. The other 30% are trying to get out, and I'll be happy if more people are not incarcerated, strictly incarcerated, and they can get into these programs. But there's barriers, and during the Biden's presidency, apparently they didn't do fuck all to try to facilitate any of this, even though it was signed into law in 2018 by Trump, which but Trump, abolisher of prisons.
Wow.
But yeah. A couple other little things. Weekly job claims increased 8,000 to 247,000 this week.
Wow.
Yeah. Continuing claims fell 3,000 to 1.9 million. And the trade deficit shrinks by a record 55% to 61 billion. But there's also imports, at a record low as well. This goes back to 2023, but this is the week to week, or yeah. Then you look, the trend is upwards since Trump took office. So yeah. And mortgage rates aren't going anywhere. The Fed says they're going to roll them or get them down some, but they're sitting still around 6.7 to 7%. And yeah, they're not going anywhere no time soon. And the housing sales market is taking a big hit on all this. And couple things. If the big beautiful bill goes into place, it's supposed to cost the average tax, the median, the working class, another $2,000+ a year, and with the tariffs, it'll be another $3,000 on top of that. So folks will be about $5,000 poor. You divide that by 12. What are you losing every month? $400 something every month you're losing, which I don't know about you, but I can't afford to lose $400 a month. And that definitely is make or break for people, right? So that's 70% of people that are paycheck to paycheck. I could rise, and it is rising. But yeah, that's about all I saw this week. Anything catch y'all's eye this week?
Well, there was the Skrmetti decision that was released by the Supreme Court this morning that upheld a Tennessee ban on gender affirming care for minors. So it's a heartbreaking ruling. It's gonna live in infamy right up there with Plessy versus Ferguson and Dobbs and the Dred Scott case as just being a horrific bill that rolls back civil rights for what should be a protected class of individuals. Children are going to be harmed and perhaps even die because of this, because they won't be able to access the health care that they need. I can't imagine the Supreme Court gainsaying and the Tennessee legislature gainsaying a doctor, but 28 other states have similar laws on the books, and so now they're all upheld. So if there happen to be any trained youth listening, please, there is a nation of people who want to see you survive and thrive, and one day you will dance on these old fuckers' graves.
That's right, dog. And what's funny about that, that whole gender affirming care thing, it's something like 95% of breast reductions in teens is for males, getting their boobs reduced, which I find funny. I just find that a little funny. They talk about all this.
The Tennessee bill specifically carves out exceptions for students who are using the treatments to become more masculine or more feminine, if that was the gender they were assigned at birth. So it's hypocritical on its face. We lost Robert. Hopefully he didn't storm out in anger at something we said.
Oh, I don't think so. He probably just lost connection. I was hoping he's going. There he is. I was hoping hoping everybody was going to chime in more on some of those headlines I went through.
Well, you
But
were doing
yeah,
such a good job reading them. There wasn't much to say or add.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry, my internet's going in and out.
No worries.
Hey, working class podcast. That's what it is. Working class internet, working class audio. We got it all here, folks.
Yep. It is
But,
the second most
yeah, that's
podcast.
exactly.
Got work in
But
a
yeah,
few. I'll see you later.
Hey, we'll see you later, dog. Hang tough. Can't wait to see to see this year's coming candidacy from you. I'm excited. Really am.
Me too.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have
Yes,
a good
sir.
one.
Thanks, you too,
Peace.
Robert.
Bye.
Always a pleasure to hear from Robert. He always has such good analysis.
He does. He does. A depth. We know a lot of smart folks.
It's true.
We just need to get them all on these,
On the podcast.
you know,
They need to come on the pod.
spit that fire. Yeah. Oh God. I got 2 cats on me. Okay.
Poor little babies.
But yeah. So to end, more before we move on from the Tennessee stuff and anything else that caught your eye this week?
That was pretty much it. Like, I wanted to make sure I said something about the Scrimetti decision.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like, I think I spoke my piece about the protests, and to the extent that I dare, I don't want to give my spiciest opinions on the air.
I feel you, dog. I feel you. Yeah, that's save it for a somewhere in in the cavernous North Alabama region.
Right.
But wanted to hit some a couple of pop culture things before we go. It was a little lean for me this week. I was trying to find something. I did want to ask you what book you're reading before we go on. You got any books you're reading this week?
So I'm reading a book called In Defense of Looting.
Oh man. Okay. That is timely. Very timely.
So it has been in my unread books pile. It's been written by Vicky Osterweil. I just started it. It's a history of uncivil action, is what it says. A riotous history of uncivil action. And it was written in response to the Ferguson unrest in 2014 and 15. And in the book, Osterweil argues that looting is a valid method of wealth redistribution, rather. And so it's a book that's about that. It's been sitting in my unread books pile for several years now, and I finally decided to take it up as a response to reading about the looting in Los Angeles.
Yeah. I saw. I think an AutoZone got hit with like 100 folks. They need to scale these up, y'all. They gotta be scaled up.
Are you reading anything, Austin?
I am. I'm reading the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, which is about
That's
the rise and fall. No, it's a World War I historian, but it's about the Star Wars universe team and the rise and fall of it, and it is really great. Like, it actually, there's so many parallels, like with fiction and the real world, right? And it gives me some things to think about, and so much like the stormtroopers. I'm just thinking about ICE the whole time. You know what I mean? And their deployments and how systematic brutalization and genocide of different worlds in the outer rim versus the imperial core and whatnot. So parallels to the real world, you know. I got it somewhere. I wish I. Oh wait, well I got the internet right in front of me. Let me see if I can find this author. Fall of the Galactic Empire. What do we got? Yeah, here it is. Chris Kipshaw, he's a PhD in World War One history.
Wow.
And yeah, I got that at the library. Go visit your local library, folks. They got awesome books, like stuff you ain't gonna see in the bookstore, man. For real. Like I love bookstores, but I definitely love libraries more.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I saw just a couple things I wanted to share. Mr. Ralph Fiennes, 10 movies to see before 28 years later, which is coming out. Have you ever watched those movies? 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and all that?
I saw the very first one with Cillian Murphy. I thought it was really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love that guy, that Cillian Murphy. I loved him
Oh yeah.
as what's his face? The Scarecrow and the Batmans. It
Oh
was
yeah.
awesome.
He was good in that. He's been good in everything he's done. I saw a little bit of Peaky Blinders, but not too much.
Yeah.
It was the show that he was in. I don't watch a whole lot of television or movies, but I did see the very first 28 Days Later, and it was this nice little story about toxic masculinity and about the nature of family, and I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it had
Some other movies that this guy's in. This is what I'm trying to watch tonight. The Menu. Uh, have you seen about that?
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, so it's like a dark comedy, eat the rich type situation. So I've been wanting to watch it forever, and uh, it's on one of these streaming services. This is another great movie, In Bruges. He plays a quote bad guy. Have you seen this one?
I have seen In Bruges. Yeah, it is a good movie. It's funny. It's a dark
Nooks.
comedy. It's very funny, but it's very dark humor.
Yes, nooks and crannies. Yeah, this I want to see. Coriolanus, a modernized Shakespeare interpretation, 2011, the role of military leader Caius Martius Coriolanus, and it's set in a Balkan state named Rome. I love some Shakespeare and Shakespeare adaptations.
Absolutely.
This is a prequel right here, the Kingsman, which apparently takes place in World War One. It's got Rasputin's in it, so that's something else I'd be like. I love Ralph Fiennes, so I saw this list, so I was like, oh yeah. I didn't realize The Constant Gardener was a mystery thriller because I thought it was about fucking gardening, dude. Like,
Oh
how
no,
dumb am I?
it's about like the CIA or something.
Okay, well then I gotta watch that. I'm a fucking sucker. Uh, some
Oh
CIA
yeah.
propaganda.
Oh yeah. No, I love watching spy movies and things like that. The So I host a coffee social every week, and we use blue roses to show where the table is. So if you're looking for it for the first time, you come in and look for the blue roses, and that was kind of inspired by these old World War II resistance movie shows where people had like secret knocks and secret handshakes and other symbols to.
I love that. I love that. I didn't realize it was it's that's so that's like that's sexy, dude. That's like smooth shit,
I
right?
thought it would be
That's like
fun. Like, come look for the blue
yeah.
roses. So it's not like very clandestine or anything, but just to make it a little fun.
Yeah.
Conclave. I saw Conclave and liked it too. I enjoyed Conclave.
Yeah, I'm not like I knew something was up with that dude, but like
No spoilers.
the cardinal from Afghanistan, but I wasn't gonna. Oh shit! Spoiler. Never mind. I'll stop there. But yeah, I watched it after the Pope died, and I loved it. Thought it
It's
was
a good
really
movie.
good. Yeah. And then I read the Lecter books as a kid. I actually read the Red Dragon one too, but yeah, I forgot about this one though.
Yeah, it was okay. He did a good job playing Francis Dollarhide, the Tooth Fairy
Right.
killer.
Yeah.
And it was certainly better than the original. So there was a movie based on the book Red Dragon called Manhunter that came out in like the 80s, I think. And it had I've forgotten their names. But anyway, the guy who played Lecter in that did not do as good a job as Anthony Hopkins.
No, I saw that one too. Back in the day, but yeah, um, fucking Hopkins is fucking iconic, right? Like,
Right.
He is like fucking, now I'm thinking about Trump and all his Hannibal Lecter
The late great Hannibal
references.
Lecter references. Like, what is that all about?
Dude, I don't know, but have you seen the TV series, the Lecter TV series?
I watched part of it because one of my coworkers was into it, and I think I watched the first few episodes and just couldn't get into it. I
Uh,
bounced off of it.
I really liked it. Really enjoyed it. I think they actually cut it a season short, but yeah, I enjoyed it. And number one on the list here, we got Schindler's List. Oh yeah, uh, which look how young he is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking looking straight up Nazi-ish. He was a real son of a bitch in that movie.
Well, he played a real man. Amon Goethe or Goethe. I can't say it.
Amon Goeth remains.
No, the remains is it's just
Oh,
Goethe.
remains.
Yeah.
Ah,
Amon
Amon Goeth.
Amon Goethe. You round your lips. So to pronounce O umlaut in German, you round your lips like you're going to say O and then say
Dude,
as in bed instead. Österreich.
I was taught
Eh.
Goeth, 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 but whatever. Yeah, he played a real son
So,
of a
and then,
bitch.
yeah.
But yeah, that's that. Another little thing. Speaking of looting, $1.4 million worth of Nintendo Switch 2s stolen in heist. They were on their
That's
way
funny.
from Washington to Texas, and they got lifted in Colorado. So shout out Facebook Marketplace at Colorado.
Wow.
I do, yeah. And 3.5 million switches sold, and I know you. So I saw this, and I couldn't help but think of you.
Yeah. I bought mine. I didn't
So,
loot it. And I bought mine from a legitimate store. I didn't buy it on the black market. Although,
well, I am specifically looking for one on the black market. So if anybody sees a link, please send it my way. And the last little thing before we go, I don't know about you. Do you cook a lot?
Oh yeah, I'm a vegan. I have to cook all my own food.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I was watching a show with a vegan chef a couple days ago. Um, she was she looked like she knew what she was doing. I'll eat some vegan food just as much as I'll eat food. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you can make vegan. Yeah, you can make
but
good vegan food. Like I eat a lot of pasta, which is why I'm so overweight. In addition to drinking beer and soda and all kinds of other things. Um,
oh man, pasta packs it on for me too, dude. Like for real. And like, yeah. Uh, I've always wanted to try like vegan curry, vegan Indian food. You know?
oh yeah, there's a great restaurant in Huntsville. I think it's called Curry. It's over on in Five Points, and they have a lot of vegan options on their buffet, and it's quite good.
Mm.
If you're over in Huntsville, Alabama, check out
My
Curry.
mouth, my mouth is dripping.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah,
Indian food.
yeah, dude. I haven't met a food, food from a nation that I don't like. Right? Like, what they even make, they make fun of Brits about the bad food, and well, uh, I will say some of it is questionable, but I mean, there's, but hell, they've also adopted curry as their national dish, pretty much, But man, there's just good food everywhere. Really is.
Oh yeah,
Eh,
sure.
and how can you you know, eat some folks' food and then hate them? You know what I mean? Like,
That's always wild to me.
yeah,
And to love Mexican food and to want to go out and drink and party for Cinco de Mayo and then hate Mexican people. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And
yeah.
that's true of. And I'll tell you, Iran has some good food too.
Mhm.
You know that.
And
Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, as a reminder, boycott Sabra hummus, and hummus is not Israeli.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, do not buy Sabra hummus. Make your own hummus at home. It's very easy.
Oh yeah, maybe we do a cooking show next.
Maybe
But
maybe we should. Maybe slop. It's called slop because that's what we cook.
exactly, dude. But I
Yeah.
saw this, and I cook. You don't need a lot to cook well, and this thing's $30, and I don't know. I can just pour shit out. Like, I don't think I've ever measured oil when I've been cooking either. Maybe
Probably I should.
this fucking meat thermometer that's a cop for regularly $100 connects to your phone. I'm sure we got this thing Balmuda the Brew, $700.
Oh wow! I was like, oh man, I might get one of those. I might spend
I,
$700.
I saw it too. I was like, okay, and then yeah,
I love
how
pouring
about
coffee. I
how
like
about a
it.
fucking
Yeah.
ice cream maker for $230? Man, we used to use the fucking that 20. You can still get it at Walmart for like $20. You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh yeah.
the wooden one and shit.
Exactly. What are you doing
Uh,
to the cats?
I am doing nothing to the cat. I don't know why he's tripping out. I learned something about cats yesterday. The prime sack. You know what the hell that is?
The what now?
The primordial fold. I'm sorry, not sack. The primordial fold. So it's this belly sack that some cats have, that even lions have, that's protects them in fights and also stores extra fat for tough times. But yeah, this guy over here talking, he's got a primordial sack. or not sack, fold. Now this actually right here, this actually might be worth it. $65, a sous vide cooker. You know, I don't know if y'all. You still need the sealing portion of the whole situation. But have you ever cooked anything like that?
No, I've never cooked anything sous vide before. Although I understand it became popular, but like I don't eat meat, so I think that I don't know if it would make good vegetables sous vide, if sous vide vegetables
What?
are good or not.
Yeah, like are they extra good, right? Because like the meat you can like it, I've heard more exclusively used as for meat and stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's how I feel too.
yeah, but yeah, if you're cooking vegetables, with it, but you also need the sealing system as well. But for $65 for a hot ass warmer, you know, not bad. Uh, this little guy right here, breakfast, you know, I like I got a skillet. You know what I'm saying? I got a cast iron skillet. This thing's $40, and it looks like a real pain in the ass to clean. Yeah, uh, this this almost makes the cut for me. Like, you know, but also I'm at a point where I don't even use a strainer anymore. I just use a plate, you know, and just dreidels like that.
That's
But
what I do. My
it
strainer's too small
it
for the pot that I've got.
yeah, but it's cute and it's $12, so you know, it,
Okay.
that's not super ridiculous. This fucking thing, frying pan. I should have you guess the prices on this shit. 179 for this guy. Like
Wow.
again, uh, go on and steal your grandma's cast iron skillet. Okay. All
The
right.
nugget ice maker.
Well, that's right here. GE Profile. I don't know why they call it this, but nugget ice maker. We call
I'm
these.
gonna guess.
I call this baseball ice. Yeah.
I'm
Guess
gonna
how
guess
much this motherfucker is?
$200.
442. Yeah.
I wouldn't pay
All right.
442 for it.
Well, I almost would just because I love that type of ice. It's like the
Oh yeah, the
perfect,
nugget ice is the
perfect
best.
ice. Yeah, it's that
If I
Sonic
owned a,
ice. That
if I ever opened a bar, I might buy one just to have Sonic ice for some drinks.
yeah. Or well, I was gonna say, you know, like baseball stadium ice.
Yeah.
Okay, the Bermuda steam oven toaster. That's a lot going on with that. It's a steamer. It's an oven. And it's the editor's pick. Another Bermuda. Remember how much that Bermuda up top, the coffee maker was? How much is this guy?
600. Oh wow.
Oh, a little
I don't know how
overestimated
much
right
stuff
there.
costs. I don't know how much stuff costs.
But yeah, $300 for a fucking toaster. Yeah,
Toast
yeah.
by
It toasts
steam.
by steam.
That means your toast would be wet though, wouldn't it? I don't want wet toast. That sounds gross.
Right? This shit. All right. And I think this is the last thing on the list. Dude, the Breville Smoking Gun Pro. This seems it's by also is it by polyscience or it uses polyscience?
I don't know.
Fucking hell. All right, so
80
how much
bucks.
this stupid fucking thing is.
I would say 80. 150. Man, I don't know how much
150.
anything costs.
And yeah, and you know, I don't know if you know anything about fucking barbecuing, but taking a little motherfucking gun like this and and holding a nozzle over your fucking ribs and shooting it with smoke for 2 minutes that ain't gonna do shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no clue what this is used for. It maybe some fancy drink,
It
you
says it
know?
will take your cocktail game to 11. I don't know about that. If I want smoky, I'm just going to pour some scotch in there.
Yeah, yeah. But you know,
I love a good island scotch. The smokier, the
yeah.
better.
Uh-huh. The only way to sit there and get some smoke on your meat is have that shit for like 12 hours in the damn uh 12 hours in the damn smoker. You know what I'm saying? Get that smoke ring and all that good stuff. Uh all right. Ember temperature control on sale.
A
How
warming
much is
mug,
this guy?
$40.
A mug.
Oh,
150.
yeah. For a mug? Negative,
Yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Fucking it can go for it keeps your coffee hot just like a fucking mug does in the first fucking place.
No, absolutely not.
We got a made and cooked with steel wok.
So I paid $200 for my walk, but I got a good quality walk. So I'm
Oh
going to
man,
guess $200.
$200. I've picked up a wok at the Asian Mart, and the first time I cooked with it, the finish came off on that bitch. Uh, maybe don't buy $15 coated goods from China. Maybe 120.
19.
So yeah,
Yeah, like
but like
I use my walk for everything. Like
I
skillet
love
and
the
skillet
wok.
and
My
walk.
mom, yeah, yeah. I love my mom used to cook up. Man, I still remember her wok. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about it. I'm about to get. I'm getting all. Oh look, I'm getting nostalgic. See, there it is. Uh, the Savoy Chef sandwich cutter and sealer. Now these,
Oh wow.
like, man, if you got kids, like, I, I think this could be worth it. How much is it? How much are we looking at for the set here?
$50.
17.
17.
You are bad at this.
I'm terrible at this. I don't know how much anything costs. I just know that I'm not paying for it.
Maybe I watched too much Prices Right or whatever the hell. All right.
Yeah,
I think this is the last one. The Rabbit 6-piece wine opener toolkit. Look at this
how many
thing.
tools do you need to open wine?
Yeah, I've used on various occasions a dime and a screwdriver. Wine.
$41.
$41. Yeah. Uh, but there's also electric wine openers as well. All right. That inventions, this is such a weird name. That invention serrated warming butter knife. I don't even know what the
No,
fuck this means, man.
a warming
Like,
butter
what does
knife.
this even mean? Yeah.
It
What are we looking at?
like it melts the butter as it cuts through it.
It,
I don't know. I would
USB,
$20.
25. Damn, you're getting better. Uh, what the fuck does this mean? Like, this ingenious knife, the elaborate modus operandi of making toasted bread with a pan, a spatula, will be shortened to just smear and spread, since it can melt the butter as you apply it.
I already
Like,
just smear and spread my plant-based butter on toast. And it's not wet steamed toast either. It's like real dry toast.
but yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, that's it. Get expert gear and gadgets advice every day here on the most professional podcasting, or no, the most unprofessional podcasting. So
Wow.
Yeah, that
I'm in the wrong
Yeah.
business. I need to make a coffee drip machine for $800.
fuck, right? There's I saw a fire extinguishing training kit. Guess how much that shit was?
1,000.
40.
$40,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
$40,000 for a fire extinguisher training kit.
Wow. I don't have $40,000 to drop on something like that.
Man, how about me and you just make 3 of them motherfuckers a year and call it a day?
I know, right? Someone's buying this stuff.
Somebody, it's mandatory for them to buy the shit, you know? So they can pass their training standards and shit like that.
Wow.
But yeah. So okay. We came in at a cool 145. I don't care. Whatever.
I don't
give
care.
a fuck.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You can. No one's forcing you to listen.
Yeah. So, but yeah, with that, folks, Jay, you got anything else?
No, that's it. Other than, telling my trans people to be strong, my trans folks to be strong.
And read what is it you're reading right now?
In defense of looting.
In defense of looting. Y'all go out and ask your local library to get you a copy of In Defense of Looting.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. And yeah, when I return the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, actually we can do it online. I think. Let's try to hit that up this week. Get this book into the library system up here. But yeah, as we say, all the power to all the people. We the people break our chains together. Solidarity forever.
Solidarity forever.